In this video, let's see what are HTML forms. We fill in forms all the time on internet, right? Forms and form elements allow us to accept user inputs, whether it is for logging into your social media accounts or posting a tweet or anywhere you see a place to add text or clicking a button or toggling a checkbox or be it anything of this kind. There is an HTML form element running in the background. We use a form tag to define what should go into our form, and this by itself doesn't actually do anything. So, in order for the form to do something, you will need two important HTML elements. They are the label and the input. Inside the label tag, you can write some text, and that will be displayed as a label inside your form. And the next one is the input, and the input is a self-closing tag so that it doesn't have a closing tag. Instead, you can define the input type by using the type attribute. And there is a whole bunch of input types that you can use inside your form. But there is one thing, we can design and structure the form, but until we learn about JavaScript, we won't be able to tap into its full functionality. Let's look at them in detail. Here we can use a form element, and inside that I'm going to add a label. So the labels are like captions which tells the user the purpose of the input field which is next to it. So the first input that I wish to get from the user is their name. So let the label be your name. Along with this, let's add the input field by using the input element. In the input element, we have to specify the type of the input. Let's see the documentation to see what are the types available. So there are a lot of types available like the button, checkbox, color, date, email, file, hidden image, and a whole bunch of types available. So let's try the type text first. So this is the default value, the single line text field. Line breaks are automatically removed from the input field. So they are basically a simple input field. Let's add that. Let's save it and hit refresh and check out what our website look like in this moment. We can see that we have got a label over here and a small input field where someone can type their name. So now let's try the password type. So let's give the label as password, and the input type as password. Yes, we have got the password over here, but there is one speciality for this input field, that whatever we type here will be masked, that nobody can see what we are typing. Let's add a line break over here so that the password moves to the next line. Now let's create a text box for creating a longer text like messages by using the text area. First add the label as message, and instead of using an input, I'm using a text area. And text area has two attributes that are really important. One is the number of rows and the other one is the number of columns. So the number of rows is determined how tall your text area should be, and the row determine how wide it should be on your web page. So let's add that. I'm going to stick to maybe 10 rows and say 30 columns. Let's hit save and refresh. Yes, we have got a wider text area here. Or we can type in a longer text. Let's give the line break over here also. Now the thing that we are missing is a submit button. By simply changing the type to submit, we will get a submit button. Let's check it out. So we can use an input element and set the type to submit. Let's hit save and refresh. Yes, we have got a submit button over here. At this moment, it might look a little bit messy, but no worries. When using CSS, we can modify it and make it beautiful. Now the only problem is that when we click the submit button, nothing happens. This is because we haven't given the action attribute. This attribute tells what to do when you click the submit button. So let's give an action attribute and set it to mail to and give an email ID. So what the mail to does is that when you press the submit button, they will open up your default mail client. There is one more attribute along with action, that is method, and I am setting the method as post. The post simply means that whatever we write in this input field will be transferred to the email which we specified here after this column. So let's try one more input type, which is the email. So label it as your email and give the input type as email. Hit save and refresh. So here this thing might done some basic validations, like I am typing some random text and hitting enter. So this says that please include an @ symbol. So this says that please include an @ symbol in the email address. So this is doing some sort of basic validation. So let's add some more random text and some symbols and hit enter. A part following it should not contain the symbols. So these are basic validations which are done just by adding a type as email. So this is really a basic bit of functionality that we can get without understanding about JavaScript. So feel free to have a bit of fun trying out all these different input types and see what they look like and what they do. And once you do that, you will come to realize that a lot of the things that you see on web are just HTML inputs. And as we build our knowledge in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, we are going to come back and see how forms work in more detail. So, for all of that and more, keep watching.